members of the team who are here with us. Dr. Melody Ennis, who is Director, Emergency Disaster Management and Special Services. Dr. Ennis. Dr. Sonia Copeland, I think we all know her. She has been here before. Director of Health Promotion and Protection. Dr. Lundy Richards, Director, Health Services, Planning and Integration. Dr. Karen Webster Carr, Medical Epidemiologist. Mr. Everton Baker, Director, Environmental Health. And Mrs. Shireen Huntley, Medical Entomologist. I don't know if I've left anyone out, but if I have, we welcome you, and we know that you will help to assist our media colleagues in ensuring that we get all of the information out to the public. And we mentioned that RGR is joining us live, TVJ, the RGR group, and we also want to encourage our other media partners that this matter is so important that we are inviting them to join us in bringing the information to the people of Jamaica, because when the people are armed with information, they can help to prevent getting the Zika. So I now turn over to my colleague, Minister of Health, Minister, the Honorable Horace Daly.
Thank you very much. My colleague and my friend, Minister Sandra Faulkner, my Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Kevin Harvey, my Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Marian Bullock-Ducasse, other generals in the Ministry of Health, members of the media, friends, greetings and salutations. I would like to thank you first of all, Minister. Greetings and salutations. I would like to thank you first of all, Minister Faulkner, for inviting me. As you indicated that the Cabinet instructed me, the Prime Minister instructed me to do everything possible to prepare Jamaica for the coming of the Zika virus. And thank you for this opportunity to brief the media today and also to brief Jamaica. I would also like to thank the PBCJ for carrying this press briefing live, and TVJ and the Jamaica House normal worldwide web streaming service. On my behalf also, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of, in the OPM, thanks for having us in your big house. On my behalf also, I'd like to wish all members of the media a Happy New Year. First, I'm seeing some of you, and I hope that this year will be a great year for you, for media, for the press, continued press freedom, as we are one of the leaders in the world for press freedom. I have something I would like to show you before I start. And could you now play? And I'd like to commend Dr. Michael Abrahams for personally taking up the challenge. He was one of those who took up the challenge that I made, and he made a song and a little video that I would like to show to you.
Sound.
Well, if we don't have any sound, well, we can try it afterwards. I don't want to waste TVJ and other precious time. I would like to thank members of the media, since I became Minister of Health a little over 2 months ago, for your support, your kind words. A lot of you in this room have called me, emailed me, WhatsApp me, send me messages, give me information, alerted me to concerns that you have, although I can't be on every single program when you request, but I want to thank you for the support that we have received at the Ministry of Health. As you know, the country has been in preparation mode for the onset of the Zika virus since the outbreak was announced in Brazil last year. Over the past few months, we have seen the virus inching closer and closer to our shores. Zika virus is presently confirmed in 19 countries, including Barbados, Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, El Salvador, French Guiana, Guatemala, Guyana, Haiti, Honduras, Martinique, Mexico, Panama, Paraguay, Puerto Rico, Saint Martin, Suriname, and Venezuela. Jamaica does business and travel with many of these countries, especially our closest neighbors, Haiti and Panama, and so we expect that very soon we will see the virus in Jamaica. There are also direct and connecting flights to Jamaica from some of these countries, and there's also other travels, some illegal. We have investigated so far notifications brought to the Ministry of Health of 12 cases of the virus, and we have sent these samples to the Caribbean Public Health Agency, the CAFRA lab in Trinidad, and all were negative for the Zika virus. The Public Health Lab has received an additional 5 samples which will be sent tomorrow to Trinidad for testing by the Caribbean Public Health Agency. The population is at risk because the Zika virus is transmitted by the bite of an infected Aedes aegypti mosquito, which is the same mosquito that spread dengue and chikungunya. This mosquito lives with us. This is a new disease, and so the population, which has never gotten it before, does not have any sort of immunity to the Zika virus. It means, therefore, that everyone is at risk of getting the Zika once it is here in Jamaica. There are some actions that we have to take as a state and as the Ministry of Health, and I'll tell you some of these steps that we have taken. The Ministry of Health has ramped up its vector control activities for the past few months. We have increased the frequency of fogging in several communities, but especially in the high-risk parishes and the high-risk communities. We have deployed hundreds of workers to communities to assist with identifying and destroying the breeding sites, and we have intensified our public education to our householders. We have been meeting with several groups to provide information in various forms. Our partnership with the Ministry of Education has seen training of our administrators, teachers, and students to provide them with information that they can bring back to their school community. We have ramped up our public education, and we are partnering with the media to spread our messages. We'll be increasing our capacity, as this is one of our challenges, for testing through the University of the West Indies Virology Lab. In the coming week, we'll be meeting with several other partners, including the Umbrella Group of Churches and the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, just to name a few. Our teams will be present in the field to guide communities and householders in terms of destroying mosquito breeding sites and keeping their surroundings clean. There are high-risk groups. There is increasing information which suggests a link of the Zika infection to microcephaly, which is a condition where the infant has an abnormally small head, which is associated with underdevelopment of the brain. At present, the exact time during pregnancy when this may occur is not confirmed. However, microcephaly has been observed in more cases following infection of the pregnant mother during the first months of pregnancy. Babies who develop microcephaly in the womb may not live to full term, may be born prematurely, may be stillborn, or may survive but with long life disability. Pregnant women therefore need to take particular vigilance, to be particularly vigilant, as they are also among the high-risk group and are likely to experience several symptoms if they contract the Zika virus. After careful examination and brief from the health generals, I took the decision and advised Cabinet to advise women to delay becoming pregnant for the next 6 to 12 months, and those already pregnant to take extra precaution to prevent being bitten by mosquitoes, given the possible link between Zika virus infection and microcephaly. The National Family Planning Board will soon begin increased public education with respect to guiding persons as to how they can delay pregnancy and contraceptive options. Infants and elderly persons who have diseases such as diabetes, arthritis, cancer, sickle cell, or are a compromised immune system are also at greater risk for more severe symptoms, and so we urge that special effort is made to protect this group. Community mobilization, sensitization, and education is key. You will recall that we started a community-focused program utilizing young persons in December, where we deployed about 1,000 workers and still being deployed all across Jamaica to help with the public education of our citizens. Yesterday, we officially launched an initiative with the Caribbean Cement Company, which will see an additional 100 young people deployed in the KSAC, Kingston and St. Andrew, along with the Kingston St. Andrew Corporation. The ministry will train the youth who will undertake community interventions in the corporate area, including education about the Zika virus. This will bolster effort at the community level. We'll be calling on other companies to come on board to work together with health to minimize the impact of Zika virus on the population, our country, and our economy. The Ministry of Health cannot do it alone, so we are calling on communities, churches, schools, businesses, householders to band together to help to rid their communities of the Aedes aegypti mosquito, the breeding sites, and also the adult mosquito. It is a task of every citizen to get rid of the mosquito in their surrounding. You can take the following action: look for anything in which water can settle and either cover it, keep the area dry, clean it regularly, fill it with soil or sand, punch hole in it in the tins, or recycle for other use. We also are asking our media, our persons who are engaged in the music industry, to come on board with us and ensure that the message is taken forward. On Friday, we wrote to both political parties and sent to them 12,000 flyers that we ask them to use in their political campaigns coming up, to distribute to the people who they meet and interface with. I have noticed that one party already has sent them out, and an advisory has gone out to their members about the Zika virus. I'm sure the other party has already done so or will be doing that. In the coming week, we'll be asking the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Most Honorable Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller, as well as the leader of the opposition and the Governor General, the head of the private sector organization, the head of the umbrella group of churches, and some other citizens to make public broadcasts to the nation on the threat of the Zika virus. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not if the Zika virus will come to Jamaica, it's when. Let me say we have done all we can do to date, humanly possible. All the samples that have been, all the cases that have been reported to us, we have done the tests so far. None has returned positive to date. I ask Jamaica to help us to prepare to combat this public health threat. Thank you very much, and would like to have a very frank and candid discussion with the media this morning.
No clapping at the first briefing, please. We know you're excited about your minister, but no clapping. We want to thank Minister Daly, and just to remind everyone, Minister Daly said so. This is about us coming together as a nation to fight the threat of Zika together. And if we do it together, if we follow the prevention practices, we won't eliminate it, but we can certainly lessen the impact on our country and the impact on our health services. We have also with us here the Permanent Secretary, and we have Dr. Dukas, the Chief Medical Officer. I'm going to ask her if she could remind the nation the symptoms of Zika.
Minister Faulkner, Zika fever or Zika virus infection is a disease, as we know, that is caused by the Zika virus, and the main symptoms that persons get are fever or rash. That's a fine rash all over the body, starting on the upper part of the body. There's also headache and redness of the eyes. This redness is distinct from others in that there is no other material that you might see coming out of the eye, as in pink eye, so the eyes are just red. In addition, there's also joint pain, muscle pains. There can be swelling of the feet and hands as well occasionally. Of note is the fact that it is only 1 in 4 persons who become infected with this Zika virus that actually become ill. So the majority of persons who are infected with the virus do not even know that they have it because they develop no signs or symptoms. However, they are still able to pass it on if an Aedes aegypti mosquito bites them, and then they go on to become infected. In addition to the signs and symptoms I've just mentioned, we spoke already about the microcephaly, or the babies being born with heads that are smaller than normal and underdevelopment of the brain. Some persons can also exhibit other what we call neurological signs and symptoms, meaning that they could have some weakness, and some of it can go on to even extend in severe cases that they might not be able to use their limbs at all for varying periods of time. So this is why we continue to urge persons to avoid being bitten by the mosquito and to search for and destroy the breeding sites.
Thank you, Dr. Dukas. We now open the floor for questions. From the Star, welcome.
Do they come normally?
No, they don't normally, but that's
Yes, 3 questions. Will the ministry be increasing surveillance at the ports of entry for persons entering from the 19 countries in which Zika has been confirmed? Second question, how effective is the fogging? There's a concern that the mosquitoes may have built up immunity to the chemicals used. And where can young people sign up for the sensitization program, and will they be paid?
I'll take the last question. We are looking for a lot of volunteers. Some will be paid, some will not be paid. Some companies, as I said, with cement company, brought on 100 workers yesterday, and I'm sure other private sector companies will do the same. But we would be happy to have 10,000 young people storming every village and every household, but we can't afford to pay so many. Well, we need volunteers. The other 2 questions my PS will respond to.
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year to those of you who I'm speaking to for the first time. We continuously have surveillance at the ports of entry. It's one of our zero tolerance areas, and we try to maintain the indices for vectors, particularly the mosquito, at very, very low levels for to prevent any transmission in those areas. We also would have installed at the airports the fever scanners that are there now that can help us to detect persons coming in with high fevers. But the challenge we have is that the majority of persons who will come in to the island infected with this virus will not be detectable at the port. The incubation period is between 3 and 12 days, and therefore you could be perfectly well traveling from any of these countries into Jamaica and then get sick later on. So the surveillance at the ports of entry is not our main means of prevention. What we have to do is to reduce the vector, which is the mosquito, at the ports, but also to ensure that if it is detected in country, we quickly identify the person and take the necessary steps to reduce the vector around that particular person, his or her household, and that entire community to reduce the risk of spread. Ms. Huntley can speak a little bit about the fogging, but the fogging at its best will probably take out maybe up to a half of the adult mosquitoes. We have been using different chemicals over the years. There's some resistance to some of the chemicals that we use, but we have several other ones that we can use that the mosquitoes are susceptible to. But even with the susceptibility, because these mosquitoes rest mainly inside of your house, as you can imagine, the fogging around the house and the community only get to a certain percentage. And as I said, it's maybe up to a half of the adult mosquitoes will be knocked down by routine fogging.
Can we ask Ms. Huntley to speak to the fogging? Can we get a microphone quickly to Ms. Huntley, please? Thank you.
Or medical entomologist.
She is the medical entomologist.
And the mosquito specialist.
And she's coming around so we can get her on camera.
Yes.
Lincoln is being a gentleman and giving up his seat.
Take this.
She has a microphone.
Thank you. Happy New Year to everyone. As it relates to the chemicals that we use in our vector control programs, all the chemicals are effective. As the Permanent Secretary said, we have detected resistance to one of our chemicals, and the ministry has replaced that chemical and will be using the effective chemical in the areas where resistance has been detected. So all the chemicals used currently in the program are effective in dealing with the Aedes aegypti mosquito. We do have the problem, as our Permanent Secretary said, that this mosquito rests on the inside. And so even though the teams will be fogging, persons do not often heed or request to open their windows and doors, so to allow the fog to drift in. And because this mosquito is on the inside, then you can understand if the mosquito is on the inside and the fog is not getting on the inside, then we're not going to be able to get to the population. So the chemicals are effective, but the process of fogging may be affected because of the issue of that mosquito is on the inside and persons do not necessarily all the time open their windows and doors.
Ms. Huntley, I'm going to put on my journalistic hat and just ask you a question to clear up. Because I know a lot of persons, because the smell of the chemical that you use in fogging is really strong, and I think a lot of persons are a little nervous about because it's so strong. Are there health risks with I think you need to just let people understand that this is safe and they can open up their homes.
Okay, thank you, Minister Fodden. Indeed, the chemicals are safe. The ministry uses the chemicals as per the manufacturer's recommendation. So the chemicals are safe. Before we go into a community, the ministry has what we do announce that we will be coming in, and we ask persons that do have respiratory illnesses to take certain actions, for example, covering their nose with a red rag, or not to be present in the area that is going to be fogged. But the chemicals are safe because we use them as per the manufacturer's recommendation.
Do we have other questions? Zara? No question?
Well,
No, I am amazed.
everybody is quite happy with what has been happening. Well, I would like to ask all media houses, Minister, it's an appeal to all media houses. We have public information that we paid for on most media houses. We're asking you for 2 additional slots free to carry the message. We have on every media house in Jamaica, large and small, Minister Faulkner, the Ministry of Health has public information, public education program going that we pay for. I am appealing, we would like 2 other slots free in this period of public threat to our health to carry forward the message of prevention. Because the greatest risk we have is that our people don't take the precaution. You don't empty your vases, you don't inspect your homes, you don't inspect your restaurant, you don't inspect the school. Everybody has a responsibility to do their part.
And Minister, to add, I know that the parish councils, some have already started their program of cleanup, and we would encourage citizens across Jamaica, where you see near your homes, where you see stagnant water, or if you have stagnant water that you can't get rid of, make a call to the Ministry of Health or to your parish council. And we also have the NSWMA, which did significant cleanup work over the Christmas holidays, and they will continue to do work and to ensure that to the best extent possible we can clean up. But we can't come into your homes. You have to take that responsibility. You have to take your health seriously, and you have to work with us, partner with us, so we can prevent a greater impact of the Zika virus in Jamaica.
Minister, just to add that this is also a continuous effort. We can't do it this week and not next week because the mosquitoes hatch almost daily. So we're asking that persons make this a routine part of their schedule and will do these assessments on a weekly basis. We ask that you spend at least 10 minutes every week to go through and check your yard, your house, your community spaces to ensure that there is no breeding occurring. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harvey. And what we want to thank, Zara.
You've been comprehensive in the information that you've put forward. But just a quick question. I know this is a community effort, but I'm sure you have a budget that you're working with. What are we looking at?
Yes. It is largely a community effort, but the Ministry of Health and the government will not shirk its responsibility. Public education, vector control workers, fogging, making sure that between the government and the private sector we have adequate or more than adequate supply of pharmaceuticals available in our public health system and our private facilities, private pharmacies. We also have to pay people. We have to buy equipment. We have to buy chemicals. We have to buy fogging machines. We need more fogging machines. We're looking at a budget. We have to strengthen the virology lab at the University of the West Indies. That's a $10 million investment we have to do right now. Because the biggest challenge, as we have said publicly, and we are not hiding anything, I as Minister of Health will never hide anything from the people of Jamaica. We will give you the facts, we'll try to fix them, but you also have to take your own precaution. We have a challenge, which is there is no lab in Jamaica right now that has the capacity or is accredited, certified to test for Zika. We will be investing in the university virology lab to ensure that they have the capacity. That will take about another 3 to 4 weeks to make sure the equipment that they need is imported. They have ordered it already, pay for it, have it installed, have the staff expanded in that lab, and the head of the lab is sitting right here. The head of the Are you the head of the virology lab?
Not the head, but
Not the head, but the, okay, the
Chief.
consultant, the chief of the virology lab of the University of the West Indies. She's part of our team, the university is part of our team, the private sector is part of our team. We're looking at all of these things, maybe a budget of $200 million for now. But it's ongoing.
And before we close, Minister, Dr. Dukas, could you please say to the public again, what are the medications we use if there is Zika, and if these will be I know these will be available through a public health system for free.
Okay. The public is advised to utilize for the various signs and symptoms paracetamol or acetaminophen. As we have said for other of these viral conditions, the public is not to utilize aspirin or other anti-inflammatory drugs that they normally use, because these can cause complications which could be bleeding. Because of the difficulty with the early diagnosis, it could be dengue. So we don't want persons to have any unnecessary complications. The ministry has ensured that there are adequate supplies in stock of these items, and out of an abundance of caution, we're also ordering additional supplies. So it is a paracetamol or acetaminophen, which is available at all of the health facilities island-wide. We're also partnering with the private sector to ensure that in the private pharmacies that the medication will also be available.
Yes.
As in the case of the chickpea, there was a warning against public gathering. You mentioned that you have issued flyers to both political parties to issue at these gatherings. But is there a warning against public gathering at a time like this?
No, there's no warning against public gathering. And the flyers that we have asked the political parties, the two main political parties, to come on board, because they do house-to-house canvassing. So when you go into the house to seek a vote, give the household a flyer about Zika virus. So it's not to say you must not have your political meetings. The specialists will tell you the mosquito bites at night, but it also bites in the day. Bites in the day too, and it is the Aedes aegypti mosquito. Some say Aegypti, some say Aegypti. And it's high in Jamaica. It has always been here. And there are some specific communities that last week we visited, high indices of the mosquito, of this particular mosquito. There are several breeds of mosquito.
Where are these
This one,
communities?
I'm going to tell you some of them so they know. Let the entomologists tell you. High communities. Kingston and St. Andrew has the highest indices. St. Thomas, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, and Westmoreland. The highest indices
That's
of
like
the Aedes
that's like
aegypti.
half of the country.
That's why it's serious, Zara. And also just to remember that the Aedes aegypti is that the little mosquito with the black and white.
The pretty one.
spots. Yes, it's pretty but dangerous. So don't embrace it when it comes around to you. Get rid of it, run from it, and kill it to the best extent that you can. We're going to, you have another question? Oh, sorry.
I just want to inform the public that even though we have several breeding sites for the Aedes aegypti, we have found from our surveillance data that 45 to 55 gallon drums and the tires are our major breeding sites. We want to make an appeal to our tire shops that we know you have to carry on business, but we ask that you store those tires so that they do not breed mosquitoes. We have many tire shops across the country, and tires and these 45 gallon drums are our major breeding sites. And we have found as well from our surveillance that persons are just not taking action because we continue to see a high population of the Aedes aegypti mosquito when our teams go out. So again, we're asking, please take the necessary actions.
Mr. Daly, a quick follow-up. Are we still experiencing chickpea?
Well, I still have it in this finger. but
New
no,
cases of the...
New cases, yeah, the PS would have to.
Well, you know, chickpea is now endemic in Jamaica, so we will always have cases from here on. We have sporadic cases. You may have one every a month or so, but there is chick V circulating in Jamaica and will be here forever and ever from now on. There's no epidemic or outbreak of chick V at this time, and hence it's just sporadic, intermittent cases that we have.
So there may be a mix-up of the chick V and the Zik V.
And
Well,
dengue. And
well
dengue.
there's dengue as well, and there
And
are 4
dengue?
different types of dengue. There is chick V, and it resembles the flu as well, and this is the flu season. So there's a lot of things that you could mistake it for. The critical thing is to look for some of the distinguishing features like the conjunctivitis, the redness of the eye, but the redness without the pus. When you have pink eye, you get a pussy red eye. But when you have chick V, it's just a red eye without the pus and some of the other symptoms. So you have to look out for that. And, you know, so far we have not identified Zik V in Jamaica, despite the cases that we have investigated and tested. Once it gets there, then, you know, we have to do more testing, etc.
Thank you, Dr. Harvey. And we're going to run the video. I hope this
it's ready this
time. Sound. Yes, use the mic.
Okay, we're going to leave the press conference now. They're just about to show you that video on the Zika virus. I think it's to stir up public education in the virus, but the government announcing some of the measures that it will be undertaken to deal with the threat of Zika V. A couple points: the 45-gallon drums and tires are the most effective breeding sites for the Aedes aegypti mosquito, as the health official just said. They'll be issuing flyers to political parties who will distribute them when they're campaigning in house to house and canvassing, so that the message will be spread in a very quick and effective way to vast sections of the population. But we'll have much more on this story in our newscast at noon and in primetime news. We're gonna hand it back now to Master Control to do a few things before the midday news at the top of the hour. Milton Walker, good morning.